Springfield's Talk 1041. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the show. It's Tuesday. My name is Nick Reed. Hope you're doing just wonderful this fine day. Friday, we have a new location for a happy hour, the Vineyard Market in Ozark, just off of 65. It's the exit where Lambert's is, but instead of taking a right once you cross over I guess it depends if you're coming north or southbound, but instead of being on the south side of the road, it's on the north side of the road. You could obviously Google it, look it up if you're not familiar with the location. So 4 to 6, we will have our happy hour. Excited about that. This Friday looks like it's going to be great weather all week, including that day. They have some outdoor seating area. So weather should accommodate a fantastic happy hour. Today, all across the country in different capacities, there is going to be voting taking place. In Missouri, it's mostly, are you going to give government more of your money? That is something, of course, Springfield will talk about this hotel, this new tax increase, and Springfield loves tax increases. And the potential implications of that on the ballot today, wherever you are. If you go to our the sample ballot area of KSGF.com, you can see whether or not there is an opportunity for you to give your say on whatever question you're being asked. Again, primarily we're looking at whether or not you give more money to the government. Now, there are obviously some of these races that are getting a lot of attention that aren't local. You've got the mayoral race in New York, in which Trump has weighed in. This has all been, I don't know that complicated is the best word, but it's long been believed, the polling has shown, that really in that three-way race, you got Sliwa, the Republican. It's New York, so 8 out of 10 voters are Democrats. Cuomo, Democrat, and he's running as an independent. And then you got the anti-Semitic wing of the Democrat Party represented by Mamdani as a socialist communist. And it's the polling has long shown that regardless of it being a three-way race, a two-way race, Mamdani is going to win. But there's new polling that shows essentially that if it were a two-way race, he would not win at this point, that Cuomo would win. And this is the whole Republican candidate. Should he drop out? Should he not drop out? He's not dropping out. Obviously, today's election day. Trump is weighing in on this. There are a couple of other elections. You've got Virginia. There is that race, New Jersey, in which Republicans are hoping for a real upset there and a Republican winning the governorship in New Jersey. And Virginia is more of a toss-up situation, at least with the attorney general. That is the state where Democrats have fully endorsed the Democrat candidate for attorney general, who has argued more police officers should be murdered. That will help cut down on police brutality, and has openly fantasized about murdering his political opposition and his political opposition's children dying. And so the Democrat Party, I think it's at this point fully demonstrated they are the party of violence and mental illness, which is why that has what does the party do? They sent Obama in to campaign with the guy. Obama there side by side in the last 48 hours. With a guy running to be the top law enforcement agent of the state, who has argued more police officers should be murdered. I mean, what do you say about a political party that embraces and promotes that? This is the level, unfortunately, of hatred and anger and violence that the Democrat Party has brought this country. There's voicemail of a Democrat candidate that was left for Republican U.S. Senator Sheehy And it's probably what you would expect. It is a voicemail hoping that he dies of pancreatic cancer, threatening, if I ever see you on the street, you're going to be sorry. This is a candidate, a Democrat candidate for office, who not only is not backing down, but how dare he release that voicemail and put her life in danger. Nothing is ever their fault. You know, a significant number of Trump's top cabinet people are having to live on military bases. This isn't being widely reported. And they have been moved, they and their families, to military bases because of serious, legitimate threats by Democrat activists on not just their lives, but their families' lives. And The Atlantic had a piece about this, essentially blaming Trump. Well, it's their fault because they're so evil. This is how they justify it. Just like the hijackers in 9/11. It's America's fault. They're the great Satan. America had it coming. Those weren't innocent people that lost their lives on 9/11. They are the great evil. It is righteous of us. This is what we have to do. And that is the same position that is taken by Democrats, minus Fetterman. Well, this is what happens. It's not our fault they're evil. This is what happens when you're evil. This is what, Charlie Kirk as a citizen gets it. Trump, he gets shot. I mean, this is this is just the world that they've created. You realize that is the same rationale that the 9/11 hijackers, the terrorists, took when it came to Americans. That is the same rationale used by Hamas. The Jews deserve it. This is on them. This isn't us. We're simply doing the righteous thing. We're simply taking out evil. So, Fetterman does continue to be the one voice that is saying we have to stop doing this. One guy, one elected Democrat, one. And it's the guy who arguably has had brain damage due to a massive stroke. If I were a normal person who once upon a time felt my values aligned with the Democrat Party, I don't know what I would do today. I would not be able to continue to support this party because it has become a party of anti-Semitism and violence. And there's no getting around it. Again, some of these particular scenarios, Virginia, for example, I don't know how much more clear it can be that Democrats support and promote violence and reward it. Instead of demanding that the Democrat Attorney General candidate step aside for the horrific things that he has done and said, Obama comes in to try to help. He's like, I want a piece of this. They hold fundraisers for the guy. I don't know where you normal Democrats go. I mean, you either, of course, now if you're not a pro-life, smaller government, pro-free speech individual, obviously the Republican Party is not for you. I don't know what you do. You either cease to participate, I suppose, or you just become one of them. It says, I wish that there were enough Democrats that were against anti-Semitism and against violence to break off from the party and give non-violent Democrats a place to go, people to vote for. And if you think, well, the person I vote for, they're not out there promoting violence, if they're not outwardly pushing back against it, if they're not doing what Fetterman is doing, then they're part of the problem. They're standing in the room, letting it happen. And I feel frustrated as someone when the Republican Party is not fiscally responsible And I recognize the landscape, and I say, I don't know where I'm supposed to go as a voter. I do when it comes to certain issues, but if fiscal responsibility is something of concern to me, there really isn't a party for me to vote for. Well, if you're a Democrat and you don't support violence and anti-Semitism, you're in the same position. Now, I'd much rather be in that position because of spending issues as opposed to violence and anti-Semitism issues. I feel like, my plight is a little less, I don't know, evil. But still, it really puts a person in the position, particularly again Democrats, either not participating or supporting violence and anti-Semitism. And sadly, what we're seeing it in New York. They're making the call. Violence and anti-Semitism all the way. Weather coming up in a moment. Right now, the latest news update.
And the first alert forecast from Ozarks First meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by St. Clair of the Ozarks Home Improvements. Today we'll see sunny skies with a high near 72. Tonight partly cloudy with a low around 50. For your Wednesday, sunny with a high near 71. And taking a look at Thursday, sunny skies with a high near 72.
As we go into traffic here, mention that the reports, they seem confirmed. Former Vice President Dick Cheney has
yes,
passed
I heard
away.
that.
I think he was 84 years old. I don't think it was unexpected. He was surrounded by family. He was 84 years old. And, that guy, I think, had 88 heart surgeries in his time. I want to say he had his first heart attack in his 40s. It was relatively early on. But he's a guy that certainly had to have lived as long as he did with the amount of health issues, if I recall correctly, he had. Is a pretty remarkable thing. Were you going to say something?
I was.
Okay.
I believe at the top of the hour they said that he passed away due to complications to pneumonia.
Yeah, that seems, again, that age, that's not necessarily uncommon. I think, isn't that what Diane Keaton also? Is that?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's what eventually they said ended up taking her. It's going to be interesting to see the coverage of Dick Cheney by the media, because the media, there was no Republican that they hated more than Dick Cheney at the time. Loathed him. They openly talked about walking him out of the White House in handcuffs, and he was a war criminal. He was all the horrible things. Well, then he began to be kind of anti-Trump, and then the fruit of his tree, Liz Cheney, January 6th committee, and went around campaigning for Kamala Harris, and so that certainly won the Cheney name some favor with the media. So it's going to be interesting to see. I suspect that the Dick Cheney is Darth Vader narrative will not be the overriding narrative because of his distaste of Donald Trump. And they may note, I could see the media noting that once upon a time he was seen that way, but, by today's standards, and when you look at the Trump administration, Dick Cheney actually seems reasonable in retrospect. I could see that perspective. So we'll see over the next 24 hours or so. Springfield's Talk 1041. I'm Nick Reed. wanted to share a text that had come in actually yesterday regarding the Springfield vote on, once again, shock, Springfield wants to raise your taxes, or asking you. And going to be bold here and say that it'll happen. Springfield, regardless of, it's hilarious. You hear some of these left-wing people, and Springfield, it's just so conservative. It's the Bible. Like, are you out of your mind? You out of your mind? Do you not pay attention to what's going on? And it's funny how we sit here, some of us get it, and we look at cities like New York and Chicago and Baltimore, and like, how do these idiots, why do they continue to vote for things that are detrimental? But look at Springfield. I mean, does anybody look at Springfield and say, overall, culturally, we're really light years ahead of where we thought we would be, and compared to 10 years ago? And I'm not saying there aren't certain areas in which there have been improvement. Thank goodness for the people. I mean, the people and business owners of Springfield are what keep it going and keep it positive. Unfortunately, they have local government that makes it very, very difficult, particularly small local businesses. And this constant need for more money. And not only the need for more money, but then, it's like any given time of the year, the city will be like, hey, we got all this money coming in, and we don't know how to use it, so give us some suggestions. As I think just the last time that occurred, it was because of leftover COVID money. I mean, God forbid, just how about this? Don't spend it. How about it go back to the taxpayers? No. Or save it for, like, I don't know, convention center stuff. No, they got it. They have to spend it on something fun. I mean, when you have any sort of entity that's asking you, how should we spend tax dollars? You have too many tax dollars. And so we oftentimes get served up that, but then we're told, on another hand, man, we're just so out, we need more money. We got to have more of your money. Like, I thought you were trying to figure out what to do with the money. Oh, but then see, you and I don't understand, because that money's for over here. And we need money for over here, and we just can't take that money from there. There's always a reason that it comes back to your pocket. There's always, that's always the only answer. This is the mindset that I would encourage everyone to break away from, and that is voting on, when there is a proposed tax, and the tax is going to go for this thing, whatever it might be. Don't vote, this would be my suggestion, on whether or not you think that thing that they want the tax dollars for is a good thing. See, that's what they do. They sell you, they convince you, see, this is a good thing. That means you have to give us more of your money. Because what that suggests is that that's the only way it can possibly be paid for, that there's no other way they can figure it out. Oftentimes they can. But why would they have to? If you're just willing to give them more money, they don't have to demonstrate fiscal responsibility or fiscal creativity. I've told this story before, but it illustrates my point, and it was for Greene County years ago. And there was a request for a tax increase. And the selling point for the tax increase was, if this doesn't pass, we're going to have to slash the workforce. I forget by how many. And so that was the marketing. If you don't pass this, and then with the slashing of the workforce within Greene County, that means that your services would be slow. All these, they were just explaining all these bad things that were going to happen. Well, it somehow didn't pass. I'm guessing because it wasn't just Springfield, it was all of Greene County. And so, okay, we're going to watch all of these horrendous things occur. All these people are going to lose their jobs. And I still remember where I was, it's so funny the things you remember because this was a decade or more ago. I just pulled up to get gas at the gas station. I don't even know if it's still there, in the parking lot of the Price Cutter in Nixa. I forget if that gas station's still there or not. And I was pulling up, and I hear a report come on that, lo and behold, they weren't going to have to get rid of those jobs after all because they found a way to cover. They're like, well, look at that. Now, that isn't to say that it always works out that way, but point being, they have trained us to get into this default mindset that making a decision regarding whether or not we should pay more taxes in order to do this certain thing, have this certain new toy, this new project, needed or otherwise, and that they've trained us not to question the overall picture of things. Like, one, okay, is it a good thing? And then we decide, yes, it is. All right, are there other ways to pay for it? Is the only option, without question, more money from us? There's nowhere else, no prioritizing that can take place in terms of spending? See, they don't want you to ask that question. That's why they always just tell you about the wonderful thing. Oh, no, look at this. Don't you love this? Is fantastic, right? Oh, you agree? That means you should vote yes. No, it does not mean that. It does not mean that you should vote yes. Think about it in terms of your own spending. Let's say that you decide that, you some new car, whatever it is. I really want that new car. Now, will we live without it? Yes. Would it be helpful if we had it? Yeah, probably. Does that mean that you automatically go out and borrow for it? Like, without question, is that the wise thing to do? Or do you say, okay, what's our spending? Can we cut in some areas? Hey, we've got an entertainment budget that's $500 a month. Hey, let's cut that back to $300 a month, and we could put $200 of that towards the vehicle. You see, that's how it works. That's fiscal responsibility. But that's not how they operate when they want more of your money. It is, oh, if you like it, that means this is the only option available. Don't think about anything else. Just, you like it? That's really what you're voting on. Don't even think about the tax increase part. Just ask yourself, do you think a new convention center is great? Yes? Well, then vote yes for this. I reject that approach. We're going to take a break, got traffic, and I know a lot of you may not even realize this is on the ballot for Springfield today. And I'm going to share with you coming up, every time something like this occurs in Springfield, and there is a call for an additional tax, particularly if it's targeting particular industries, sort of the behind the scenes that occur, at least regarding a show like this. So that will be coming up here in just a moment. Pyramid Roofing Company, talk and text line 447 KSGF. I'm Nick Reed. All right, heading into traffic, reminder that Friday we are going to have happy hour at our new location, the Vineyard Market. We've got details at ksgf.com. 4 to 6 Friday, happy hour, Vineyard Market.
Springfield's Talk 1041, the first alert forecast from Ozarks First meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by J&S Automotive. Today we'll see sunny skies with a high near 72. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 50. For your Wednesday, sunny with a high near 71. And taking a look at Thursday, sunny with a high near 72.
Hey, don't forget any needs that you or a loved one, friend, have, an acquaintance, maybe a new coworker, regarding home purchases or home sales. Emily Johnson, House Theory Realty. And they may say, oh, well, I'm already planning on using this person over here, or well, I see lots of advertisements for that person, or well, I have a cousin that's doing it. Just recommend that they interview 2 or 3 different realtors and make Emily Johnson one of them. This is something she's very big into promoting. And yeah, you could say it's because she's very confident that after interviewing, she is going to be the one to win. And I don't know, maybe that's the case. But she's also just more interested in making sure that it's a right match, because with that comes a greater deal of success. And if you find that, yeah, you still want to go with your cousin, she's going to be perfectly fine with that. But at least it gives you the opportunity to check out the landscape and to see what each person is going to bring to the table. She shared this story once about some folks who were doing just that, and they had talked with a number of different realtors. They were looking to sell their home, And they were just shocked when she came to the table and she had all of this information already prepped about their home and the approach that would be taken. And they were like, this is nothing at all like what we have not seen any of this stuff from anybody else. That's what you get with Emily Johnson, House Theory Realty. And it's why I and so many others recommend her. You can find her online. And of course, you can also go to Nick's endorsements at ksgf.com. I received the following message regarding the request by the city of Springfield to raise taxes again, this time on hotel, motel, the tax, tourism tax. Sometimes it gets referred to. One thing about Springfield is there's really nothing here than anybody want to have a convention in Springfield for. Bass Pro is the biggest draw we have, but it's not enough to warrant paying for another convention center. We already have 3 convention centers here. There's no need for another increase in tax. Tomorrow's the last day to vote on this inside the city limits of Springfield, Missouri. Also a text that came in on the Pyramid Roofing Company talking text line. It's always other people's money. Now it's hose the tourists to build a new convention center. That is only another boondoggle. The supporters say our bed tax is much lower than Kansas City, so they think we can compete for convention with Kansas City and other real cities. It's going to pass. Southside voters will show up. Now, let's just start with the issue of convention centers themselves. I think the usage and need of convention centers has changed drastically over the past couple of decades. Doesn't mean that they're not necessary. With the ease and ability that exist for people to connect without meeting face-to-face is obviously something that is very, it's more prevalent today. People just don't, and companies don't necessarily feel the need they did once upon a time to get together in that fashion because of social media and the ability to do Zoom calls. Now, I don't believe that it does the same job. I don't believe it is as effective, depending on what the purpose of the quote convention is that your organization or company is or has in the past put together. But it also, if you are somebody that you're looking at bottom lines and you're looking at cost, and you have the need or the desire to, sort of have everybody connect across the country within your particular industry, sometimes it's easy to tell yourself, well, we can do this by way of, like if we got different seminars and you can sign up online and watch them that way instead of everybody having to fly to the convention, and you're looking at it as a money-saving and time-saving opportunity. And you may even recognize that it doesn't replicate an actual get-together in-person event, but because of the amount of money and time we save, it's an offset. It makes it worth it to not go to an actual convention location, have everybody from across the country get together. So I think that landscape has changed. It doesn't mean convention centers aren't needed, but I just don't believe that they are as in demand as they were once upon a time. It's just my belief. I do also recognize that oftentimes, depending on conventions. There's a couple of things that come into mind when you're choosing a location. One of the evaluations is what's a reasonable place, what's sort of a centrally located place for everyone to meet. Now, if you are putting on some sort of convention in which the people are all up and down the East Coast, you're probably going to pick some place on the East Coast that is more centrally located. It would not make sense to hit the center of the country. Now, if you have people that are coming from the Midwest or all over the country, somewhere that is a more centralized location does make more sense. Just in terms of what's, quote, fair, what's as fair as possible in terms of of proximity to people's location where they're coming from. Also, taking into consideration if people are going to have a lot of free time, are there a lot of really neat things for people to do? Will people want to come to the convention, particularly if it's somewhat voluntary, it's not mandatory, and you're trying to find a place that people think, oh, well, the family could come, and, when we have, we'll go a day early, and then we can go do this or go to do that because we're going to a place that has lots of neat things. I think most people recognize, it's not a knock on Springfield, that an area like Kansas City or Dallas clearly is going to have more options in that regard than somewhere like Springfield, as awesome as Wonders of Wildlife. And, so there are a lot of really awesome, great things here, but we're just being realistic about what it is that might make people who are on the fence about whether to attend a convention. Is this the sort of place I want to go? And is it worth it to bring my family in order to have a little mini vacation as well? A big one is also having a hotel attached to it. And while the current convention center is simply across the street from the University Plaza, there's just something about actually being connected, physically connected to the hotel itself, particularly if you're talking about bad weather and so forth. That way you don't have to get out in the rain and get out in the snow. It's all in one little cozy, comfy place. And that is a real benefit for a convention center as well. And that's not something that the primary convention center in Springfield currently has. I happen to think it's a real mixed bag as to whether or not there is an overwhelming value to build a brand new convention center. Is it going to make that much of a difference? Is there, what sort of conventions is Springfield missing out on realistically by not having a nicer one? And then, okay, how to pay for it? There's the other big question. The city's answer is a 3% tax on the stays of hotels. And then I'll read to you the ballot language here, which you can see on the sample ballot at ksgf.com, and it reads, shall the city of Springfield, Missouri impose an additional 3% license tax on the business of renting, leasing, or letting living quarters, sleeping accommodations with any hotel, motel, tourist court, or short-term rental, it'd be Airbnbs and so forth, derived from or paid by transient guests for sleeping accommodations for the purpose of attracting travel and tourism, including the construction of a regional convention and event center. So it's including. One of the things that should be kept in mind when you read verbiage that says the dollars will be used, it says including the construction of a regional convention and event center, and it is for the purpose of attracting travel and tourism. When you have language that suggests, okay, well, yes, it will include convention center, but it can be used for stuff that encourages travel here and tourism to Springfield, that really means anything. I lived in a community once upon a time where this very sort of debate was going on regarding hotel motel taxes, and it was I think it was going to put it on bed and breakfasts, which at that particular time they did not have the same hotel motel tax put upon them, and it was kind of a bed and breakfast community, and so they wanted more money, the city council, and so they were going to start hitting the bed and breakfast with the same tax, and it was to quote promote tourism. Well, the problem that they would find with that is that it pretty much included absolutely anything the city wanted to do, because anything that the city wanted to spend money on was to, quote, improve the city, and they would argue by default improving the city makes it more attractive, which means more people will want to come here. So virtually anything that they wanted, they kind of almost were able to use it as a slush fund, if you will, because they would always argue, well, it's a good thing for the city, and that improves the city, which makes it a more attractive place for people to come. So by default, it's actually promoting visitors and tourism. I continue to go back to rejecting the idea that if you think that we need a new convention center, the only way to get it is by raising taxes. And the reason I reject, and listen, I also recognize that there may be instances in which a municipality may come to the people, and that really is the only way. That there really, truly, legitimately is no other way to find the funding for whatever it is that they're looking for. The problem is that they always have that approach. Always. Never do they say, hey, we're asking for more money from you. We acknowledge that, yes, there are other ways we can pay for it, but listen, just honestly, we're going to try it this way first. And if, in fact, you reject this proposal, then we will go and utilize one of the other ways. They never say that. And so by default, I never assume that the only way for the city or the county or the state or whatever the municipality is, I never assume or accept the premise that that is the only way, raising the taxes, because it's just they always say that every single time. And again, in Greene County at least, they've demonstrated that even when they say that that's the only way, it turns out that it isn't. We're going to get a traffic update more ahead. I'm Nick Reed. Now, let me tell you, I believe this will pass, this additional tax on Springfield. And here's how these things play out. It's played out over and over again, and I knew it would play out this way, this time around, and it has. So the powers that be, the elites, whatever you want to call them, they want this clearly. And they will have the different entities and different groups and, the sort of the big name credibility factor folks that will say, oh, yes, we support. This is going to be wonderful. We need this. And some of them will even be seen and recognized as being part of the industry and being fiscally responsible and being pro-business. And so the average person sees it and they're like, well, gosh, if these pro-business folks and if these people within the hospitality industry support it, then it must be okay. I mean, everybody seems to be on board. So where are the voices against it other than random people on social media? So here's how this is played out. And this, again, is a repeat I've seen over and over again. I will get calls, and I have, and had conversations with people that say the truth about this needs to get out. And I will be given a name. And well, here's how the conversation goes. I say, I agree. I said, but there's only so much I can do. I said, what needs to happen, people within the industry need to speak out on this. somebody who is a person of authority when it comes to the hospitality industry, somebody who, because I'll be told they're not being true, they're not being honest about the numbers, that the people who support this, they are, kind of tinkering with things to make it seem one way when it's not. And I say, okay, I need somebody to come on and talk about this. I need somebody who has the credibility, who is in the industry, and I'll be given a name, and then we'll set it up, and there's an agreement, and again, this happened this time around, and somebody in the industry, yes, I'll do it, and we got a time and a date on the calendar, and then followed up, and like, well, I had a conversation with so-and-so who, somebody that's for it, and they said that they were really interested in my concerns, and they were going to look into it, so I don't really want to do anything right now. In other words, they shut him up. They pat him on the head and they say, gosh, your concerns sound, you know what, before you go on air, let's talk. And then they don't come on air. And so then I'll get, another call. Hey, I don't know if this is something you're going to talk about, but there's a lot going on. There's a lot of misinformation being put out by the supporters. Like, yeah, can you get me somebody in the industry to talk? Oh, yeah, don't worry. I'll get these. And then I get a call back. And they're like, well, actually, I'm having a harder time than I thought. Yep. And listen, God bless the people who are trying, the people who are reaching out and making the connections and making the calls, because I had several people in the industry. Oh, this person will be a great person. They'll do it. And sometimes they say they've even been outspoken on social media. But for whatever reason, when it comes to getting on a platform that is larger in scope in terms of people that are paying attention to what's going on with these things, all of a sudden they back down. And I get oftentimes straight up told because they're afraid. They know what can be done to them. I'm not talking about breaking kneecaps or anything, but just next time they need a permit, next time they need this done, or a zoning issue comes up, and the city has a very long memory. And so they get the phone calls, and they have the conversations that express to them it probably would not be in their best interest, wouldn't be good for them. It's always looking out for them. Oh, you don't want to go on there. You don't want to talk about that. Oh, boy, that could cause some real problems. Or, boy, you know what? That's probably not going to work in your favor. It's probably best if you don't. And so they back down. And so what happens is the public, all they see are the people who are for it. All they see are the industry people that are for it, because everyone else has been convinced to not go on the record, to not utilize a media platform in order to give their opposing opinion. And listen, this isn't a criticism. I get it. I understand. But I think it's important for people to know this is how it always goes. And it's the same thing this time around as well. Exact same thing. Springfield's Talk 104.1. I'm Nick Reed. I got a Pyramid Roofing Company text question asking if we've discussed the Christian County use tax, which shows up as Proposition A. No, but let me tell you, I don't know why I find this hilarious. And I always thought ballot language was supposed to be considered unbiased, but here's the ballot language. If you look, you can see the sample ballots at KSGF.com. Proposition A. Now you tell me if this seems like completely even-handed and unbiased. In an attempt to eliminate the unfair advantage enjoyed by out-of-state vendors over local vendors, shall the County of Christian impose a local use tax at the same rate as the local sales tax rate, provided that if the local sales tax rate is reduced or raised by voter approval, the local use tax shall also be reduced or raised by the same action. And while I'm not given, one way or another a side on this particular issue, the fact that it starts out in an attempt to eliminate the unfair advantage enjoyed by out-of-state vendors, I don't know, to me, it just gives me a sense of which direction they want this to go. And I always thought you weren't supposed to be able to tell that sort of thing. But anyway, we've got news in 60 seconds. I'm Nick Reed. Springfield's Talk 1041. Hello, welcome everyone. My name is Nick Reed. Great for you to be here. Enjoy it. Enjoying our time together every morning. I wanted to share something Linda said regarding her experience. Pretty detailed experience. Pinnaker Honda saying, my car died. I needed a new vehicle. My husband and I were looking at CRVs, as they have great safety ratings and are recommended for seniors because of the safety features and visibility. Generally, we buy used cars, but since we had just started looking, we were open to all possibilities. Our salesman, Pinnaker Honda, David Lave, was extremely patient with us as I looked at almost every new and used CRV on the lot. He patiently explained each car, its features, price, warranty, even when I circled back to the same cars over and over again. When the time came for the test drive, he gave great directions for back road driving. Negotiations weren't nearly as painful as previous experiences we had had. Thank you, Dave, for making that part of the process pleasant. We then went to work with Ryan Rush for the purchasing and paperwork. Ryan was both pleasant and knowledgeable. All in all, probably the best experience that we've had buying a car. At home, I was having trouble getting my phone connected. My husband contacted Dave, who said that he would be glad to help with the technology. Subsequently, I used a high-quality connection cable. Now I'm all hooked up for phone and GPS use and ready for new adventures in my new-to-me CRV. Thank you, Pinnaker Honda. And I encourage you to read reviews. Check them out. And you'll see that it's not simply a bunch of, 5 stars and then did great or what. Sometimes you can tell people that are encouraged to give a review when they don't really want to because they do the bare minimum. But what you find like that with Pinnaker Honda are people that are very accommodating in their giving their opinions. They want to give them. They want to share the good experience because people oftentimes do that. You have a great experience. You want to tell people about it, and they're detailed in doing so. Pinnaker Honda, South Campbell, just south of Walnut Lawn. Regarding the death of Dick Cheney, which was announced this morning due to pneumonia complications at the age of 84. Wasn't Cheney the guy who shot someone while turkey hunting? He has great judgment, LOL. No, it was quail hunting. Much different. And I do remember, as many of you probably do as well, when he was out hunting with a friend. And now, according to all parties involved, the friend got in. He walked in front of or in a space that he, for safety purposes, should not, for the very reasons that we would see play out, and that is he got into sort of a line of sight situation where he ended up taking a shot. I think it was to the face. Now, on one hand, of course, there was a lot of mockery and joking that came out of it, but you did also see some unhinged people on the left going around, if I shot someone in the head, I'd go to jail. Dick Cheney, like, okay, calm down. It wasn't on purpose. It wasn't negligence. The friend was like, no, I was where I shouldn't have been at the time. It was my fault, if I remember correctly. But it was really the beginnings of these little glimpses into what the Democrat Party would become, and that is 0 to 1,000 in a split second. If you notice this about the Democrat Party today, there's never a measured response to anything. Everything is the worst thing ever to occur. Everything. You could be talking about the single worst atrocity ever, and their response to it would be the exact same response they give to Donald Trump paying for a ballroom to be built. It's the same response. You never can gauge based off of a Democrat's reaction to something that Trump does or that Republicans do. You can't gauge the level of seriousness of the situation itself by the reaction of the Democrats, because the reaction is always exactly the same. And that is, this is the single worst thing that has ever happened in the history of mankind. I mean, Nancy Pelosi yesterday, who, by the way, according to reports, after tomorrow or today's elections, is going to announce that she's not seeking re-election. We'll talk about that a bit later. And like for her seat, obviously she's not been speaker clearly because but not even leadership position of her party. That's what Hakeem Jeffries, the election denier, has stepped in and been doing for the last year or so. But just her seat in general. And she is 84, 86 years old, something like that. Probably wanting to devote more time to box wine. But yesterday, she's claiming that Donald Trump is like the single worst human being ever. Really? Can you not, on a scale of 1 to 10, every so often hit a 4? Even a 9? But everything with these people is this one goes to 11. Everything is this one goes to 11. And we began to see just glimmers of that, little flashes every so often with Dick Cheney and the Democrats that would call for him to be arrested and would call him a war criminal. And whenever that hunting accident occurred, just the hysterical reaction to it. You're like, whoa, you people are just okay. Calm it down a bit. Yeah, it was a thing that wasn't good, but let's just scale it back. You're getting a little hysterical here. That has become the baseline today of the Democrat Party. What an exhausting life to live, right? Latest news update.
And the first alert forecast from Ozarks First meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by St. Clair of the Ozarks Home Improvements. Today we'll see sunny skies with a high near 72. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 50. For your Wednesday, sunny with a high near 71. And taking a look at Thursday, sunny skies with a high near 72.
Trump looms large over key election day 2025 contest despite not being on ballot. I'm going to take a position regarding Trump's connection to these elections that I've taken in the past that is seemingly outside conventional wisdom, and that he does not, these elections, and unless he himself is on the ballot, are not a reflection of Trump agenda, Trump popularity. And today is going to be what I believe is an example of that. Now, first off, especially New Jersey and New York, really? This is going to be a bellwether on Trump? New Jersey and New York City, where 80% of the voters are Democrats? New Jersey? Or the last Republican governor, you got to go back to, Chris Christie, which wasn't too terribly far back, but that guy's a left-wing Democrat by any definition who hated Trump. The fact that race is even close, it should be an easy double-digit win for Democrats in New Jersey. 5 points or less should be seen as a loss for the Democrats if they win it by 5 points or less. I say that because Kamala won it by five points. Now, whatever happens, obviously the media is going to portray it as, oh boy, this is a taste of things to come in the midterms. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Congress, for example. Do you think that whether people in New York City vote for Mamdani or Cuomo is somehow has a connection to whom it is that we vote for Congress here? I mean that's the way that they're going to try to evaluate, and they may actually think it. I think that there's this overly simplistic view of things when it comes to these races. One, this connection between the president in power and all of the members of that president's party in other offices. And that there is generally a line of truth to that, but it's different with Trump. I believe the only significant boost Republicans get from Donald Trump has been twice, and that's when he was on the ballot. Well, I guess it'd be 3 times. And that's because people who are Trump voters, Trump supporters, who don't come out and vote unless Donald Trump's on the ballot, they'll go ahead and vote for Republicans since they have the ballot anyhow. But a lot of those people, if Trump's not on the ballot, they just don't get out to vote because they like Trump. They're Trump voters. They're not Republican voters. They're not Democrat voters. They're not independent voters. They are solely Trump voters. And so if he's not on the ballot, it doesn't matter how much of an endorsement he does, or, he's out there doing this messaging and saying you got to vote for this person or that person. That, a lot of Trump voters, and this is, I think, the misunderstanding, that there's this belief that if Trump says it, that they'll just go and do it because Trump says it. But Trump voters that are solely Trump voters like Trump because they don't see him as part of any party. They see him as an individual person. And when he's out there endorsing different candidates, their belief is, well, yeah, he's got to do that. I mean, obviously he's going to say that, but they still don't consider that person that's being endorsed. There's not the same connection and passion and drive to actually get out and support that person. I think now primary is a little bit of a different situation. Again, there's a difference between people who are going to go vote already versus those that aren't, that get out to vote for Donald Trump but aren't going to when he's not on the ballot. And I think that there's just this assumption that Trump endorsing incumbents or whomever, I should say, just endorsing any sort of candidate is going to compel people who only go out to vote for Donald Trump to go out and vote. And I just don't think that's the case. And that isn't because of a lack of belief in Donald Trump. It's because a lot of those voters, they just don't feel that the Republican Party is necessarily better than the Democrat Party when push comes to shove. What's the point? Some of them just don't even like Republicans, and so they're not going to get out to vote for them anyhow. There's just too much association granted between like what is going on with Trump and the things he's doing and how people are going to vote in the mayoral race for New York or in the gubernatorial race for New Jersey. Or I don't buy that. It just doesn't connect. I mean, next time, well, let's think of an example. The midterms. Are you really going to be thinking Donald Trump if you vote in the midterms? Are you? I don't think most people are. I don't think most people are going to say, well, I like what Donald Trump is doing, so I'm going to vote for a Republican member of Congress. Or I don't like what he's doing, so I mean, you have people that are always going to vote Democrat. You have people that are always going to vote Republican. But those people that are sort of, I'm an independent voter, or I don't buy into this. Well, I'm happy with what Trump is doing, so that means I'm going to vote for a Republican now. I don't buy that. And frankly, that I think past elections have proven this to be the case. I don't even know, the upcoming midterms will make a pretty significant difference regarding what Trump may and may not be able to do domestically his last 2 years. So arguably, of all of the races that will have an impact on Trump's ability to lead, in which he's not actually on the ballot, the upcoming midterms would probably be that election. And I don't even know, again, Trump voters, that they'll feel compelled to make sure Republicans keep control of Congress, because if you were to ask them how have Republicans really helped Trump, I don't know that they really... they see most of his successes as being foreign policy stuff, things that he's able to do on his own, but they felt that when it came to a lot of this Doge stuff and some of the things Trump wanted to do, that Republicans were oftentimes a hindrance to that. They were fighting amongst themselves, and so I just don't know that a lot of the Trump voters feel that the Republican Party necessarily is as big of an asset to Trump as they may be. And I guess ultimately I just really reject this, it's a referendum on Trump, or this is a bellwether. I don't agree with that. I don't think people in Virginia who are deciding who the lieutenant governor is or the attorney general is thinking, how happy am I with what Donald Trump is doing? I just don't buy that. Now, this is Mamdani's going to win. It looks as if that nut job spam burger in Virginia is probably going to win that race. And she's a Democrat. So that's going to be really hailed as a huge victory and bellwether. But understand, they've sent Obama out there. That's how worried they are about that state. They should not be that worried. That should be something, if Trump really truly is so unpopular that is translating to all of these other races, they wouldn't need Obama out there doing everything he can in order to try to make sure Spamberger wins. I also think it's somewhat humorous that her opponent is a black woman who's an immigrant, and Barack Obama, just less than a year ago, was lecturing people that they needed to support Kamala Harris as a woman of color. And now he's out in Virginia telling people, no, the privileged white woman, that's whom it is you're supposed to support, not the black immigrant. I don't know how people, listen, I understand supporting someone because of policies, but these people that think someone like Obama, well, he's just so honest and above board. He's so full of crap. To play the race card when it benefits his party, but then when it doesn't, all of a sudden throw the black immigrant aside and the privileged white woman who's made $7 million since last getting elected to Congress, and then claim she didn't even know she made that much money. She's that privileged. And Obama's stumping for her? Please. Now, there is a bit of a wild card in New York regarding Mamdani, and I want to talk about that coming. Not really a wild. Well, I guess Trump potentially is the wild card, but I don't think he's come out and said you need to vote for Cuomo. I'll explain why here in a moment. I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference. Could potentially, depending on the margins, make a difference. I don't think it's going to be anything massively significant. But that next, I'm Nick Reed.
Springfield's Talk 1041, the first alert forecast from Ozarks First, meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by JNS Automotive. Today we'll see sunny skies with a high near 72. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 50. For your Wednesday, sunny with a high near 71. And taking a look at Thursday, sunny skies with a high near 72. And Foreman Mechanical Heating and Air, there's nothing worse than when you are cold and you go and switch on that heat and nothing happens. Now this week, as you just heard, the weather is going to be pretty nice, which is a great opportunity to test your heat and also schedule your annual preventative preventative maintenance if you haven't done that already. And the Foreman Mechanical Heating and Air team, they can help you out with that. Now, these annual preventative maintenance checks, they include things like cleaning, inspections, and testing, and that can actually help you catch those minor issues before they become costly repairs. It can also add years on to your system. So if it has been a while since you've scheduled cleaning and maintenance on your unit, or maybe you're a last holdout on turning on your heat and you need to test that unit to make sure it's ready for the cooler weather, and when you do that, if something pops up, reach out to Russell. You can find all of the contact information for Foreman Mechanical Heating and Air under the Sarah's Endorsements tab at ksgf.com.
There's this story that came out that Obama won't endorse Mamdani, but he'll act as a sounding board for him if he wants. Obama is becoming more and more irrelevant, and I don't know whether he realizes it or not, but these young nut jobs on the left that have taken over the party, I don't know that they could care any less about Obama, and it's almost just a little embarrassing, this seeking relevancy. Like, well, I'll be a sounding board if you. Oh, okay, thanks. You think he really cares what this guy is? An anti-Semitic socialist communist. You think he cares what Obama thinks or what? And this is a guy. This is the new Obama. Why would he need the old Obama as a sounding board when he's the new one, in terms of a guy with no real background who's going to come in and fundamentally change things even more radically than they already have been? And do you think Obama felt that he needed anyone as a sounding board when he had been told he was the greatest thing since Jesus to walk the planet? Mamdani, you think he's like, oh, okay, thanks, old man, but I think I'm doing fine on my own. I'm someone who's never even had a real job before, and I'm about to be, mayor of New York City. I think I have this covered. I've managed to do the unimaginable. The word is that Obama is trying to have it both ways. He doesn't want to endorse Mamdani in case it becomes very clear what such a disaster New York becomes that it's undeniable. That way his fingerprints aren't on it. But then do the offering to be a soundboard, just to sort of build his status up a bit and still have a connection to Mamdani if he feels that it may be beneficial at some point. So he's kind of just it's the coward's approach. Trump has encouraged people in New York City to vote for Cuomo. This is on the heels of a new poll showing that Cuomo would win if it were a two-way race against Mamdani, and this is new. In a new bombshell poll, former Governor Andrew Cuomo would win in a head-to-head race with Mamdani. This is according to Town Hall. According to new Atlas Intel survey released yesterday afternoon, Mamdani still leads the race, 43.9%, Cuomo 39.4%, and Curtis Silva with 15.5%. So even in the three-way race, it really is just about a 4-point difference, which is clearly a much narrower gap than Mamdani was enjoying just weeks ago. Now, if Sliwa dropped out, the Republican, Cuomo would lead Mamdani 49.7% to 44.1%. So it's a significant win over Mamdani. You're talking over 5 percentage points. So that's a swing of 4 to 5 percentage points on either side. I guess a swing of essentially 10 points. The poll surveyed 2,400 potential voters over a two-way period last week, Friday and Sunday, with a margin of error of around 2 percentage points. Now, Town Hall notes the poll overestimates the Republican and independent vote while underestimating Democrat voters in early voting. Democrats account for 73%, Republicans 11%, and independents 15%. The survey has Democrats at only 59%, Republicans at 19%, and independents at almost 22%. Trump, however, sees the potential implications of this, and the fact that this has narrowed to the degree that it has, feeling that it could potentially make a difference, weighing in on this particular issue. This tells you how bad everyone agrees that Mamdani is. This is once again the Democrat Party losing control of its voters. that Trump and other Republicans are actively saying, yeah, you know, the failed, miserable Cuomo who killed off hundreds or thousands of elderly people because for funding purposes took COVID-positive patients and nursing home people and put them all together in a big mix. You know, probably the most anti-science approach one could take, and people paid dearly for it. Yes, that guy. You should vote for that guy. Trump said in a Truth Social post that New Yorkers should back independent New York City mayoral candidate Andrew Cuomo, saying that he would withhold federal funds from New York if Democratic New York City mayoral nominee Mamdani wins, calling the socialist state assemblyman a total failure who would lead the city into complete and total economic and social disaster, saying he was nothing as an assemblyman ranked at the bottom of the class, and as mayor of potentially, again, the greatest city in the world, he has no chance to bring it back to its former glory. We must also remember this: a vote for Curtis Sliwa, who looks much better without the beret, is a vote for Mamdani. Whether you personally like Andrew Cuomo or not, you really have no choice. You must vote for him and hope he does a fantastic job. He is capable of it. Mamdani is not. Noting Mamdani is a communist candidate who would drive the city towards collapse. Quote, if communist candidate Zohran Mamdani wins the election for mayor of New York City, it is highly unlikely that I will be contributing federal funds other than the very minimum as requested to my beloved first home because of the fact that as a communist, this once great city has zero chance of success or even survival. So this is what New York City is dealing with. I think it's fair to say, and I know this is going to sound biased because of my knowledge of the Democrat Party over the generations. Ideology aside, this guy, he's never even had a real job. Do you know how insane this is? You know what it reminds me of? There's a scene from King of Queens. And those of you who aren't familiar with it, you got the main characters, Doug and Carrie's father, which is played by, or was played by Jerry Stiller, lives in their basement. And he's older, and he's always got these crazy, kooky ideas. He's actually the best character, was the best character on that show. And he was talking about, he was looking to get a job. And he ended up getting a job at, I believe it's the same episode, working at a pretzel place in the mall. But prior to that, he announced that he had applied for the head of pediatrics at some hospital, university hospital, which of course was completely hilariously absurd because he was, this old guy who lived in a basement and had absolutely no medical training whatsoever. That was the joke of it. That's Mamdani. I mean, this is a guy who comes from an elite, wealthy family. He literally is just making music videos because his mom would give him money to have something to do. And he decides, I'm going to run, got elected to the assembly, a little hobby side thing, and decides to go out there because he watches and he learned from the Democrats, just claim you're going to do all these things. It doesn't matter whether you can do them or not. The successful pitch of Obamacare taught people like Mamdani, you can make the most absurd claims. The media is not really going to push back on you. And if it doesn't work, so what? And so he gets out there and, well, free buses and rent control, and we're going to get rid of police and instead have social counselors show up, and, oh, we'll tax the rich. We'll get those SOBs also. And he just said all of these things, having never even run anything. Nothing. And that seems to be what works for these idiots. How reckless do you have to be? How idiotic do you have to be? And this is what's crazy. And this is, listen, it's one thing if you're talking about, well, I'm a Democrat, and I think Republicans are evil, and yeah, this Democrat is a really bad Democrat. He's extreme, but it's better than a Republican. Mamdani's the guy who won out of all the Democrats that were running the primary. The Democrats, this is who the Democrat Party is. There was this discussion, I played the audio of it with Scott Jennings on CNN, in which they are claiming, they're like, well, that's not a representation of the Democrat Party. He's like, look at your poll. This is how you keep saying these people are not representations of the Democrat Party. This is what the Democrat Party chose. In fact, to that point, 2 bits of audio from over the weekend. Fetterman being asked about socialism and whether or not Mamdani is the future of the Democrat Party.
That the Democratic nominee Zohran Mamdani is in the lead for the mayor's race. You've previously dismissed him as, quote, not even a Democrat, and it is true he's a Democratic socialist. Do you think it would be a mistake for New Yorkers to elect him as mayor? Would you vote for Cuomo if you were a New Yorker, or Sliwa?
No, that's going to be New York's voice. Socialism is not the future of my party. And if that's going to be their future, that's really up to New York City to decide those things. We all know how socialism works out. Ask anybody that's lived under those kinds of systems all across the globe.
Now, as on point as oftentimes Fetterman is when it comes to evaluating the landscape, which makes him out of step with his political party, his assertion that socialism is not the future of the Democrat Party, I suppose he's right in a certain capacity, because I got news for you. It's the present. Again, I don't know are you not paying attention to what your voters are doing? Your voters are the party. And when they have the choice to pick non-socialist Democrats versus one that's like, heck yeah, I'm a socialist all the way, baby, they're like, yeah, that's the one we want. You can't look at that and then go, oh, no, that's not the party. You got to wake up. It's like that period of time when, Republicans were in denial about Trump's support and how the Republican voters back in 2015, 2016 were saying, you know what, we're taking things in a different direction. And you had these Republicans running around saying there's no way Trump's ever going to get the nomination. Trump is not the future of this party. Guess what? He was, maybe not the future, but the present and the future. There was a total and complete level of denial that the Republican establishment had about whether or not Trump was the future of the Republican Party. And Democrats are in that same level of denial about the extreme anti-Semitic leftists and socialism in their party. And God bless Fetterman for being a voice of reason as a Democrat most times, particularly when it comes to calling out people in his party that are inciting violence. But this level of denial that socialism, oh, no, we're not those people. Those are awful people. Look at how that works out in all these other countries. That's not us. Yeah, it is. Here's Hakeem Jeffries, election denier and Democrat leader in the House, on the same issue.
And then the mayor of the city in which you live, New York, you've already cast your ballot for mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani. Do you see Mamdani as the future of the Democratic Party?
No, I think the future of the Democratic Party is going to fall, as far as we're concerned, relative to the House Democratic Caucus and members who are doing a great work all across the country as it relates to our need to both take back control of the House, but in doing so, make sure that we're communicating to the American people like, we understand you deserve better.
All right, so the latter part of that was a Kamala Harris style answer where he didn't really say anything, word salad. But I love he even acknowledges, oh yeah, I voted for him. Oh, so this is a few. Oh no, that's not the Democrat Party. You voted for him. This delusion, this absolute total delusion. This is how the Democrat Party approaches, so many things, terrorism. You have these terrorists running all over, Allah Akbar, we're doing this in the name of Allah. And they're like, no, they're not religiously motivated. They're not doing it because of Islam. No. Like, are you listening? What part of Allah Akbar did you not understand? What part of I'm doing this in the name of Islam did you not understand? They're telling us why they're doing it. Increasingly, Democrats are acknowledging that they are full-blown anti-Semitic socialists, and then the people vote for them, and then these same Democrats, oh, no, that's not what they're voting. No. Really? Now, there is a valid question. Are some of them in denial? I think the Fettermans are in denial. I think people like John Fetterman cannot believe as some sort of, coal town, blue-collar, Democrat-style guy that his party, that he has long seen as being the party of the normal working guy, has turned into this anti-Semitic extremist party of violence that supports communists. I think he really truly thinks, well, that's just isolated to New York. Hakeem Jeffries, I think he knows better. Because this is what happened. Here's how it spreads out of New York. Yes, it may be in New York, but who's there supporting him? You got Hochul. You got Hakeem Jeffries. Jeffries is the leader of the Democrat Party in the House, and he is supporting him. You've got Elizabeth Warren endorsing him. You have all of the people who are the Democrat Party supporting him. That's how it spreads. It doesn't stay isolated. It's like a disease that is contagious. As long as the person is isolated, everyone else is fine. But if you have all these other people who don't have the disease, they come in and they're around that person, then they get the disease and they start spreading the disease. And that's what they are supporting. That's what is happening right now. These are not people who are saying, hey, we're staying out of it. This isn't our guy. These are people in the Democrat Party who are going and endorsing him. And they are telling people to vote for him. You don't do that and then say, oh, but that's not who we are. I think some of it's denial. Some of it is recognition of how bad and extreme it is. And they are worried about how this is going to have an impact on the rest of the country in terms of their electoral chances. But you can't have it both ways, which is what I think they're going to do, much like they try to have it both ways with the anti-Semitic constituency, trying to cater to them, while at the same time catering to normal people. Those worlds collide. They cater to the extremist transgender movement that supports men who demand they get to compete against women and take showers with them. But then at the same time, they're like, we got to figure out why it is we're losing men. You can't have it both ways. And you can't, on one hand, support, endorse, campaign for a anti-Semitic socialist communist like Mamdani and then tell everyone else across the country, oh, but that's not us. No, we're normal. Oh, really? It doesn't work that way. Could be a long night. And I'm going to throw in one other little factor here. Cuomo is and has allies within the Democrat establishment. Mamdani is not an establishment guy. And the establishment still, in New York, controls much of the voting. And even though Cuomo is running as a Democrat, it would not surprise me if the Democrat establishment maybe tweaked a little bit over here and tweaked a little bit over there in order to make sure that Cuomo wins. For the sake of the party when it comes to the midterms, when it comes to the presidential elections. Because, listen, let's not forget, before this primary occurred and Democrat voters said we want Mamdani, Democrats, elected Democrats, were saying Mamdani will be the death of this party. If he gets elected, I mean, yes, New York is going to be in horrible shape, but even worse, the Democrat Party is, because Americans across this country, in flyover country, are going to say, this is where the Democrat Party is today? I don't think so. And so the establishment is not on board with Mamdani, ultimately. I mean, obviously some of them are, the Elizabeth Warrens and others, they're trying to ride this wave, and some of them, again, trying to have it both ways. But the machinery is much more comfortable with somebody like Cuomo. And so it would not shock me if that machinery, I know this would be unheard of, decided to do just a little bit of election rigging, just enough to make sure Cuomo won. So it could be an interesting night, maybe day, maybe weeks. Or it could be a massive blowout. Springfield's Talk see the way I cover all bases there. Springfield's Talk 1041. I'm Nick Reed. I know this will come as no surprise, but a new report indicates that an entire network of charities connected to left-wing billionaire George Soros funneled tens of millions of dollars towards the rise of Mamdani. Well, of course. Now, you just think about the massive amount of damage that George Soros' candidates in prosecutors' offices have done to this country. And this guy is going to be responsible for essentially buying, paying for, handpicking the next mayor of New York City. A guy that has been open to global jihad. Global jihad. Now, he's tried to walk that back, as one might recognize when you're running for mayor in a city that was the victim of the single largest, most deadly terrorist attack in the history of mankind, and you have in the past supported global jihad. You can see how in the last few weeks of an election, to run that very city, you might be like, well, no, I mean, I don't really support jihad. I'm just supporters of a lot of the people who are part of the global jihad. That's a totally different thing. So what, is it come as any shock that the tens of billions of dollars that have gone in order to prop this guy up comes from George Soros? I don't think so. Meanwhile, Obama, of course, once again in Virginia, they are desperately afraid of a fair showing by the Republican there. And so they're trying to widen the lead as much as possible by sending Obama in. Not only was he there in order to encourage people to vote against the black woman for governor, but the privileged white woman, support her, Abigail Spanberger, but also a surprise appearance by Attorney General candidate Jay Jones. So Obama, while in New Jersey or in Virginia, has talked about how disappointed he is in the darkness of our days, politically speaking, has gone to support a candidate for Attorney General who envisioned the murder of former House Speaker Todd Gilbert of Virginia, as well as his children, and argued that more police officers need to be murdered in order to cut down police shootings. Thank goodness for the uplifting messaging coming out of the Democrat Party. Springfield's Talk 1041. Welcome, everyone. Hour number 3. My name is Nick Reed. Don't forget, Ozarks Elder Law, Lori Rook, the ladies in white. No planning at all is a bad, bad deal when it comes to what happens to your stuff. In case, just simply put, in the day that you pass, what happens to your stuff? Like, oh, my kids, they'll figure it out. You know, sometimes families that otherwise get along really well can turn against one another, hurt feelings, and, just unnecessary stress, unnecessary conflict. And what a parting gift for them to have all of that taken care of. A lot of us plan ahead because we don't want to financially burden family. And so we're like, well, I already paid for a burial plot, already picked one out, have all that taken care of so you don't have to worry about it. But then comes the land or the car or just little mementos, and all of a sudden who gets it? And the burial plot and the casket, they probably would have paid for 1,000 times over as opposed to fighting over who gets what once you're gone. So how do you avoid it? Ozarks Elder Law. Consultation's free. They have 10 area locations. And make sure all that stuff is taken care of and planned out ahead of time so that you don't leave that sort of chaos behind for your loved ones, unless you don't like them, of course, and then have at it. Do what you'd like. Ozarks Elder Law, 10 area locations, consultation, again, free. And there's one charge. You will know ahead of time, here's what you need to do, here's what it'll cost, and then you decide whether it is the right move for you. We are going to have this Friday, brand new, exciting location for our happy hour. We're going to talk about that coming up here in a couple of moments. Right now, latest news update.
And the first alert forecast from Ozarks First meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by St. Clair of the Ozarks Home Improvements. Today we'll see sunny skies with a high near 72. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 50. For your Wednesday, sunny with a high near 71. And taking a look at Thursday, we'll see sunny skies with a high near 72.
Well, well, well. Luke Davis in studio.
Hey, buddy.
How are you? Love the hat.
I'm fantastic.
I like that. How's it feel to be back in here?
Don't you like the fleece?
I do. When I saw you walking up, I said, "There's Luke." I said, "He's got a KSGF
He did, he got
jacket
giddy.
on." And yes,
yeah.
I did. I got quite giddy. I like the hat
Just for
too.
you.
That's cool.
Thank you.
It's a nice hat. Gosh, it's been a long while since you've been in
I,
studio.
I might have a hat for you.
Oh, that's what I was hitting at.
Uh-huh.
Now, for people who are somewhat new listeners, within the last, 4 or 5 years, or however long it's been, Luke used to have his own show here, Tech Talk. And you owned all the Davis Cellulars, thousands of them, it seemed like.
Oh, yes.
Not quite that many, but
Not quite.
just over time, life evolves, and you even did the show on location on Saturday mornings for the longest while, and now you and your incredible wife have the Vineyard Market,
That's right.
which you have for years. How long ago was that you opened this?
We're going on 7 years.
One of the things that I just think is hysterical about it is there are people who are and have backgrounds in the industry and will open up places and they don't make it, they struggle, they fail. Neither of you had any experience whatsoever. Now, in running businesses, you did.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank
But
you.
yes, you were very successful at that. But, the restaurant slash, I mean,
Right.
you're so much more than that, which we'll talk about coming up here. And I thought, man, but boy, you guys hit it out of the ballpark.
Well, we never envisioned it being what it is as far as how much of a restaurant style we are today.
Uh-huh.
That was never the plan. That was never the coming out of the gate. We wanted to sell wine and sell cigars, and that's what we still do. But we never envisioned the restaurant being where it is today. But if you're going to run a business, one thing you got to do is you have to evolve, and you have to be willing to make changes and do things. And I feel like we've pivoted and done that very well.
It's very popular.
Mainly not me, my wife, but I'm just kind of there. I get to show up and do fun things.
Right,
So-
and it's a very popular place.
Yeah. It's exciting. It's a fun place to be.
All right, so we're gonna do happy hour there this Friday, 4
Right.
to 6.
Yep.
And you have the weather will be accommodating, so there's some outdoor area. People want to
Absolutely.
do that.
Yeah.
There's indoor area. For people who haven't been there,
Yeah.
just tell us about it. Then. I mean, I know.
Yeah. So,
For people who don't know,
and one of the things when we first started, Heather picked the name Vineyard Market. Vineyard Market doesn't really do a fantastic job of describing what we are. So, we're basically we're an eatery, we're a wine store, we're a retail store, we're a cigar lounge, and we're a humidor. So we're running
but
essentially.
that would be a very long name.
Correct.
So
It would
Vineyard
be
Market's not bad.
hard to get all that on the building, even though most of it is on the building. But the whole premise is with the shop is it's an experience. So whether your thing is craft cocktails, or whether you enjoy a really nice bottle of wine, or whether you just want really nice food, or if you want to enjoy a cigar, if you want to do all of those things in your evening, that's the experience that you can have. So we're open for lunch and dinner. We've got a fantastic lunch menu: soups, salads, sandwiches. We do Napa-style charcuterie boards. We added a lot of new things to the latest revision of our menu, and we're doing some burgers. We've got some fun sandwiches that chef has come up with. We also have for our entree. We have an entree menu for dinner, where we've added a few steaks. So it's not fine dining, but it's that more of a. It's not, you're not just going to come in and have a sandwich. You can certainly do that, but we have a lot to offer. And then at the same time, Nick, we have a full bar, and we have a full craft cocktail menu that our head bartender, our bar manager, has created, all from scratch cocktails. And we do a great job of doing that. So whether you're a whiskey guy or whether you're I know you like vodka pretty much straight, especially first thing in the morning.
Straight, yeah. Right out of the
the plastic
coffee
bottles.
mug, the
Yeah,
coffee
yep,
mug, so
yep,
it looks
yep.
like I'm just drinking
So
coffee.
Just looks like coffee or water, depending on if it's lunchtime or not. But we can do that. But the whole start of the shop was wine. It was very wine centric. Heather and I are very big wine people. Her especially, really passionate about wine and what it does. So we have a fantastic selection of wines. You can go to our website and look at a lot of what we have. But what's fun about the Vineyard, Nick, is you can come in for a date night. You can pick a bottle of wine off the shelf Everything's retail priced. We don't charge arm and a leg for restaurant pricing if you buy a bottle of wine.
Did not know that.
You can open that bottle of wine. There's no additional fees or anything right there at the table and enjoy it with your meal. We also have about 40 wines open behind the bar by the glass that you can also enjoy. So that's kind of what we are. It's a great experience. It's a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun with it. We have fantastic staff, and we're certainly looking forward to happy hour Friday night.
One of the things I like about it is that you all are knowledgeable about what you sell. And that may seem like an obvious thing, but it isn't. I've been places and the people just don't really know. They expect you to know. Like, well,
Right.
if they're here, they must know. And my wife had come by before my birthday in the summer, and Heather helped because it was funny because the things that my wife got me, she was telling me. She goes, "Well, Heather said this and this bottle, and she was full of all this knowledge, which made it fun." But also, it's just I like that, whether it's the cigars or the whiskeys
Right.
or the wines, obviously. Now, tell people about the cigar. What do you call that room?
It's our lounge.
The lounge.
Our
Okay,
cigar
so
lounge,
tell people
yeah.
about the lounge.
So the lounge is a lot of fun, and this is something that is very unique. So there's nothing like the Vineyard. There's not a duplication of the Vineyard anywhere in 417, and we're probably one of only a handful of venues in the whole state where you can do what you can do at the Vineyard. And what I mean by that is, I said it a little bit earlier, is you can come in, you can enjoy a cigar indoors in our it's a separate room in our cigar lounge. You can eat and drink at the same time, all at the same place. And a lot of places, due to regulation and certain things, you can't do that a lot. Even in Springfield, you can't do that. So we've got a neat little unique situation happening down there to where you can do all that in the same building. So the cigar lounge is a ton of fun. We've invested a lot of resources, a lot of time, a lot of money into the lounge. And what I mean by that is we want the air to be super clean when you're in there enjoying a cigar. So we only allow cigars and pipes. We don't allow any other forms of tobacco in there. Our filtration system exchanges the air in there about every 9 minutes. So every 9 minutes, what's happening is there's being fresh air being piped in from the outside. We're exhausting the dirty air, and the air that's in the space is being cleaned. And that process happens every 9 minutes. So it's literally exchanging all of the air inside that room every 9 minutes and cleaning it. We have fresh air coming in, old exhaust air going out, and air is being cleaned while it's in there. So it's a very enjoyable experience. Just for an example, Wednesday night, that's tomorrow. Is that tomorrow?
Yes.
We have we do a monthly ladies cigar event. So ladies only, you can't come. Sarah can come though. Ladies only cigar event tomorrow night.
Don't
So
you gender me.
it's a lot of fun. It gives. I could go on and on about that. Heather puts on that class. Yeah. It's a lot of fun. It kind of takes the edge off of cigars with ladies, and it's very enjoyable. But the lounge is a place where you can come in, you can relax. We have nice, big, comfortable chairs. There's TVs in there. We've got a video wall in there that we can make a 130-inch screen. So like we had Game 7 of the World Series on the other day, watching that. Had a big group in there enjoying cigars and enjoying drinks and food as well. So I call that the fun room. The second fun room is our humidor, fully stocked humidor with cigars. All the brands that you'd recognize, Davidoff, Fuente, Padron, Oliva, Drew Estate, it's all in there.
Well, and it's a great place, just as, again, use the example of my wife coming in there, particularly as the holidays are coming up, Christmas, but even a birthday, whatever, and you want to get something like that for someone, but you don't know a lot about it, that it's a great place to come.
Yeah, we have. First of all, it's a fantastic place because we have a variety of so much stuff that we can offer. So birthdays, Christmas, holidays, we also do gift cards, so you can do that as well. But we have a very knowledgeable staff that can tell you and walk you through the process of finding and selecting a really nice bottle of wine, a really nice bottle of bourbon, or a couple sticks to go with it as well. So for birthdays, holidays, absolutely.
Now, the Vineyard Market, it is in Ozark. I always say it's the Lambert's exit. That's what I tell people. Now, that bridge is under construction, so when it comes to happy hour, people might...
Do people from MoDOT listen to your show?
I don't know.
Of course they do. I think we should bribe them.
Yeah. Can you just do something to help accommodate? Maybe a free drink in there for you?
Oh, I go further than that. Free
I
bottle.
bet you would. I bet.
Free lunch for
because
the rest
that's
of the
been
year.
going on. That's a hindrance for the
Been about a
businesses. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope they're closed. So We're located at CC and 65. It's the first Ozark exit. Ozark's chopped up into basically 3 exits down 65.
With the first one
It's
coming
the first
south.
one. It's the Fremont Hills exit. It's the Lambert's exit. Most people know by now where we're talking. The problem is if you're coming from Springfield, you can't exit and go east. The bridge is closed. So if you're coming from Springfield, you'll want to exit at the Millwood exit, which is Evans Road. You'll want to head east towards Millwood and then turn south on Farmers Branch Road. And that'll loop you around to CC to the Vineyard.
Yeah, it's not that difficult.
It's not that difficult. In fact, it may be a little bit faster because that way you don't have to go through the diverging diamond and all the stoplights.
That's true, too.
So Tom Martz always complained about that. Remember that? Long time ago.
He did. Someone texted in, the food service at Vineyard Market is amazing.
That's awesome.
Which it is. This is a true story. Well, it's a great. And you guys have now. Of course, we have our happy hour on Friday 4 to 6, but Saturday you have live music.
We do. Excuse me. Saturday evening, Resurrection's playing at the Vineyard. I think it'll be our final live performance of the year. We're excited to have them. They're a ton of fun. This is a very busy week for us. We've got the Ladies Cigar event on Thursday. Then we have our main cigar event coming up. I'm sorry, the Ladies event's on Wednesday. We have a main cigar event on Thursday. Anybody can come to that. We've got happy hour on Friday, then we have live music on Saturday. So busy week at the Vineyard, lots of fun. And the weather should hold out, so it'll be good.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to Friday, our happy hour, to see how it goes.
I am too. Very much so.
I know that the hosts are fantastic. Last time you were talking about cigars and your wife smoking cigars. I don't know if you remember the last time we were we were out. It was you, your wife, and me drinking bourbon and smoking cigars rooftop. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Yeah,
I do.
It was
remember
a
that,
long
actually.
time ago.
That was a long time ago.
It was an enjoyable memory.
I
cling to
very
that.
Much. Yeah,
I cling to it.
You just took me back.
Luke Davis, I appreciate you coming in and letting me yammer on. I just like having you back in studio. We have to have you fill in for me sometime.
Okay.
Put you back on that. Yeah.
I've been out of it a long time.
Well,
I do love a microphone, though.
Yes. See, you got to start thinking about a Saturday show. Vineyard Market Radio. Have your own studio there.
That'd be awesome.
Luke Davis, again, thank you so much.
Thanks,
Look forward to it. Again, it is Happy Hour Vineyard Market coming up this Friday, 4 to 6. Streaming live, KSGF.com. Hello, welcome. I want to thank Luke Davis again. Now, you said that you'll have some info up. Oh, no, wait. We were talking about what a special invite for our Great Escape people.
Yes, but I do also have information up at ksgf.com in that homepage slider. It's the first thing that pops up. And for those who are like, I don't know where it's at, I did put a little clickable map in there as well. So all you have to do is just hit that and it should pop up for you.
Yeah, that bridge construction
right.
can, be kind of a hassle, but it is 4 to 6, and it's come and go as you please. Now, one of the things that Luke and I had talked about moments ago, but also at the time that we decided to team up together, is that this happy hour, obviously it's our first one there, and every place is different, the setting's different, the layout is different. As he noted, it's part of it has obviously become restaurant style, which was not their original intent, but you've got a bar and then you've got a lot of seating area. There is the lounge area, there's the outdoor seating, and so you know I don't know necessarily naturally where everybody's going to kind of fall. Are there going to be some people that probably that want to be in the lounge area where you can smoke a cigar if you want to, or your pipe if you have a pipe, or some on the outside because that's a pretty accommodating area as well, and the weather's going to be nice. And we're just going to kind of just see how it goes. In other words, it's not going to be overly structured. Here's the thing, and this is what's great about all of you guys is. And this is you're the only place I've ever worked where you can do this. Be like, you know what? Like Sarah said, we'll figure it out. I'm not gonna have this overly structured. Okay, now we got to make sure this is people are here, and we got to make sure. You know what? We're gonna just show up, and we'll have a good time. And like Luke was saying off air, he goes, hey, once we do this, please let me know if there's whatever needs to be done to improve the quote flow of things and so forth. So this first one I will definitely appreciate any feedback that you are willing to give after we have the happy hour this Friday, in terms of we thought this was great, or well, if maybe this happened, that would be kind of cool, and that can really help formulate it for what hopefully will be many, many, many happy hours to come down the road. And so I just kind of wanted to give you just a heads up on that more casual component to the structuring of all of this on Friday 4 to 6, and love for you to come out. And Luke, and many of you who have listened to this station for years, very familiar with Luke Davis, and he and Heather, just two of my very favorite people, incredible people. So being able to do this with them is something I'm just very grateful for and looking forward to.
Springfield's Talk 1041, the first alert forecast from Ozarks First meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by J&S Automotive. Today we'll see sunny skies with a high near 72. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 50. For your Wednesday, sunny with a high near 71. And taking a look at Thursday, we'll see sunny skies with a high near 72.
I thought I'd play. Well, okay, we're going to start with this. There has been another instance, this time in LA, Los Angeles area, of a woman being booted from a gym because she did not want a full-blown man gawking at her in a shower restroom setting. I'm trying to find the audio here. Here we go. All right. Now, I'm going to play audio that is censored of this woman. She's a black lesbian. It's always very enlightening when these people realize that they have been moved down the hierarchy by the Democrat Party. These people that once upon a time were in a category that was at the top of the totem pole, at the top of the hierarchy, and they're realizing that the Democrats no longer hold them in that high esteem, that they may in certain settings, but when others like men, and right now there is no one atop the hierarchy above men who claim to be women in the minds of the Democrat Party. They always take precedent. And this is an example of men, and they're almost always white if you notice, a white man in the minds of the left taking precedent over a black lesbian. This is a video posting she made after she was banned from a gym in L.A.
I just had the worst experience ever at the gym, at Gold's Gym. And I think this is probably happening at gyms across America, where like trans women are going into the women's locker room and not really caring about how women feel about it. And it's really hurtful, yo. Like, how you gonna say you want to be a woman or that you are a woman, but you don't give a how women feel? Today I was naked in the locker room. I turn around and there's a man there in boy clothes, lip gloss, standing there looking at me. I'm butt naked. So the first thing I think is maybe there's a worker in here. Maybe I missed a sign. I say the word sir to say, sir, what are you doing in here? He goes, don't talk to me. I'm a woman. I have a right to be in here. Immediately, I'm pissed because I'm butt naked. I feel violated. I feel like weird. Like I don't want to deal with this, right? So the girls are walking in and they're seeing the commotion and they actually chime in and say, yo, I don't know why he's in here. He's not supposed to be in here. And then I talk to the people that work at Gold's Gym and they don't really have anything to do. They just like, oh, we can file a report about it, incident report. What the is going on? Like, listen, how can you say you're a woman or you want to be a woman and you don't care how women feel? That's nothing more manly than not giving a about how women feel, I'd like to think. And I get it, like, everybody has their own things, and I don't want to say that I know everything about gay rights or trans rights. I'm a lesbian. I've been a lesbian my whole life. I treat people how I want to be treated regardless of whatever their sexual orientation is or whatever they decide. So I'm not transphobic, and I'm not homophobic. I'm not straightphobic. I'm not racist. None of these things. I just believe in treating people how I want to be treated. For men to be in the women's restroom. And like, when is the cutoff point? Is it like, oh, you cut off your penis, you can come in here? Why aren't women making the laws? And if you really want to be safe and feel good, why don't we just make trans restrooms? Because it ain't right. The way I feel right now, and don't come into my comments about he gay, he ain't looking at you. I don't give a bro. It's about a feeling, yo. Like, if you never been a little girl who been touched or been through some shit, you won't understand that feeling. And you've never been a little girl.
All right, again, that is a recent posting from a Los Angeles black lesbian who found out in humiliating fashion that in Democrat-run areas of the country, the hierarchy, white men take precedent. White men who claim that they're women take precedent. Now, in the video, You see, this is not now that video is her, I think it's in her car after she was the one who was kicked out. And according to the reports, she had her membership terminated. And she mentions Gold's Gym. There is another story that references EOS Fitness in Los Angeles, saying that's where it occurred. So I don't know if Gold Gym is part of that, but nonetheless. There are a couple of other videos, one in which she's confronting him in the bathroom, and there's another one when she and somebody else confronting him outside, and outside of the restroom, locker room, but in the facility itself. And you would never even know, particularly once he's put his clothes, because this isn't somebody that's had the surgeries, you can tell. You would have no clue this person identifies as a female. 100%. This is someone who has not, quote, done anything that indicates that he actually identifies as female. And he's a white guy. Like most of these men who infiltrate and demand that they get to shower and gawk at naked women, they're almost always white men who haven't gone through surgeries, who haven't taken any sort of hormone therapy. And I thought it was such a great point she made a couple of times, saying, how is it that you can claim you're a woman, but you don't care about how women feel? And the other thing, which was actually kind of funny, is when she said, you not caring about how a woman feels is about the most man thing you can do. I thought that's a pretty, I don't think she meant it to be funny, but it's a pretty funny line. But at the same time, it's I don't know, it's maybe arguably a little bit of truth there, depending on, the guy. But, yeah, I mean, this is a common occurrence. And just to give you a sense of how far off the rails and anti-woman the Democrat Party has become, you've got the Democrat candidate, white woman candidate in Virginia for governor, who is fully supportive of this stuff. Fully supportive of forcing girls to be subject to this sort of gawking, that girls and women fall under men who say that they're women on the hierarchy. And she is usually anywhere from 8 to 12 points ahead in the polls. And Barack Obama has been there campaigning with her and for her. This is not the party of women. This is a party that is actively campaigning against women and crafting a world in which men ultimately, if they want, get authority over women. If you notice, every one of these conflicts, it is a man pretending to be a woman, not a woman who says she's a man. Have you noticed this? You don't have men being told, hey, you just have to deal with a woman being in your locker room. You don't have men being told, sorry, you lose out on that scholarship or that slot on the team going to finals or to state. It's never the man who is told by the left they have to sacrifice their safety, their comfort, their privacy, or their position for a woman who pretends to be a man. It's always the woman who's told, shut your pretty little mouth. That is the Democrat Party today. All in the name of men who claim that they're women. And this is another real-life example of a victim of that, a black lesbian. And maybe perhaps for her and others a wake-up call as to which political party really does look out for women and protect women and which one is on the constant attack. Springfield's Talk 104.1, I'm Nick Reed. Sarah Myers.
Thank you. The Pyramid Roofing Company, it's still not too late to file a claim from storm damage from earlier this year, but make sure you don't file a claim if you don't have damage. And that's where Josh and the Pyramid Roofing Company team comes in. The Pyramid team, they offer free roof inspections. They take tons of photos and videos so you can see exactly what they see. And then they work with you through that insurance process without making you sign anything. And I always like to mention that because not all roofing companies operate that way. If it's time to have the Pyramid team out to your home, schedule that free roof inspection with Josh today. And by the way, the last time I spoke with Josh, roof inspections were about a week out and new roof installs were about 3 weeks out. So if you do need them out there soon, make sure to schedule them out sooner rather than later. Now you can find all of the contact information for the Pyramid Roofing Company under the Sarah's Endorsements tab at ksgf.com.
Did you know that there was an ISIS-inspired terrorist attack in the United States that was intercepted prior to Halloween? Did you know this?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Where did this happen?
It was Dearborn, Michigan.
Oh, okay, yes, I did hear about this.
Yes. Now, some of you may be hearing about it for the first time, or maybe you heard a little something. You're like, "Oh yeah, what's
yeah.
So you got terrorist attack that was thwarted. Individuals that are charged with receiving, transferring, and attempting to receive and transfer firearms. The federal search warrant of both men's homes and storage units recovered numerous AR-15 style rifles, shotguns, numerous pistols, more than 1,600 rounds of ammunition, along with other evidence, including GoPro cameras, so we know what that means, tactical vests, and other gear. And they used the code word pumpkin. That was the terrorist attack code name that they would use in communicating with one another. One of the exchanges intercepted by law enforcement read, "So yeah, I talked to my brothers. We are going to do pumpkin. I talked to Conspirator 1 or 4 and Conspirator 5. They obviously have that redacted out in terms of the names. And they say things are getting bad, so we got to do pumpkin." According to the investigation, the areas that they had scoped out for targeting of their terrorist attack was Ferndale, Michigan, a suburb north of Detroit, which is known for its LGBT nightlife. So it is believed that this terrorist attack was going to charge or target the LGBT community. Now, these are Muslims, Muhammad Ali, and Majid Mohammad. So I think we probably understand why this isn't getting more coverage. By the way, this is a message to the LGBT community. See, there's a hierarchy situation at play here as well. You're not the right sort of potential victims. Or, perhaps more importantly, it isn't that you're the wrong victims. It's the individuals that were seeking to potentially take as many of you out in a terrorist attack as possible. They weren't the right type of killers. Now, if these were a couple of white guys that were registered Republicans, we'd hear a lot about this, wouldn't we? The media would be outside their homes, talking to their neighbors, talking to their friends, trying to find out what connections and donations they made to what political party. Of course, if it was Republican, that's what would matter. What sort of connection they had to MAGA. Were there any photos on social media at any Republican events? I mean, it would be a non-stop comb through everything, deep dive of social media to find out anything and everything they can. But because these are two individuals who belong to a religion that in certain parts of the world openly execute people in the LGBT community, silence. Oh, just a little report, nothing to see here, everyone move on. That's how important you are to the left. You only matter if you can be used as some sort of talking point. I don't think that the LGBT community is going to be in for a severe wake-up call one day if in the name of DEI and political correctness, we allow this culture to continue to grow and pretend as if it's something that it isn't. Now, I'm not here to claim that everyone who is a member of the Muslim culture or the religion is somebody who believes in murdering people in the LGBT community. But if you have people who are part of a religion that does believe that, it's generally one religion. This is why, the absurdity of these idiotic left-wingers running around queers for Palestine. Do you know what happens to your people there? This this is how it happens. I'm just telling you. You may have an area, and Dearborn, Michigan clearly is one of those areas, where you have a massively high number of Muslims. And a majority of them may be perfectly fine. A majority of them may be Americanized in the sense that they do not believe in using violence and jihad in order to kill anyone who isn't Muslim. But all it takes is one or two. And the one or two don't suddenly assimilate into coexistence. They set up shop. This is how they work all over the world. The few bad apples set up shop, and in the name of political correctness and not wanting to stereotype, we're all supposed to pretend that they don't exist. Well, guess what happens when that occurs? When we all pretend as if none of that is actually happening. When we pretend because we don't want to paint people as a whole, as we shouldn't, as being bad, whenever certain apples in that barrel are bad, well, let's ignore it. Let's not point it out. Just like this particular situation here. Well, let's not give it too much coverage because people might, it might stir up Islamophobia. Terrorist-minded individuals use that as a weapon. They use that fear of people looking homophobic, or they use that approach of even, maybe well-intended people not wanting an entire community to be stereotyped. And the bad guys use that. They use that as camouflage. They use that as cover. And then they don't just sit around and we'll just be happy the way things are. They recruit. And before you know it, you have cells that are setting up, planning terrorist attacks right here in the United States of America. And then when they get caught, the media acts like, it's no big deal. Don't look over there. And if there is any religious culture that ultimately, just in terms of factual action, that there's no culture in terms of a religion that is more dangerous for the LGBT community than that culture. And again, I stress, that does not mean that everyone in that culture feels that way. But when you have people that, for religious reasons, believe that LGBTQ people should be thrown off buildings or executed in public, those people generally come from one religion. And pretending as if that's not the case is not compassion for anyone. Springfield's Talk 1041, I'm Nick Reed. regarding the thwarted terrorist attack, ISIS-inspired, by a couple of individuals in the Dearborn, Michigan area that apparently were targeted, and noting that, across this country that there's not the focus on that there would be otherwise, depending on whom was going to carry out the terrorist attack. For example, if it were some Trump supporters, we know how that would look. And someone texted in, "You're watching the wrong news channels. Fox and Newsmax reported that days ago several times." Oh, I've seen that. That's how I know about it, to talk about it. I'm talking about the overall messaging in this country and focus. And, this is what a lot of people, I know it's not about what, I mean, I can watch the right stuff. I can watch all these different networks, and I can be fully aware of everything that's going on, as can you. But if the majority of the country isn't, then we have problems. And this is where the problem lies, is the deliberate censoring of news coverage in order to shape people's mindsets as to what is going on in this country in a way that's inconsistent with what is really going on in this country. Talking about our upcoming happy hour at Vineyard Market. Very excited about our new location. We've got some details at ksgf.com regarding it. It's going to be like all our other happy hours, 4 to 6. It will be this Friday. Come and go as you please. And they do have a really nice outdoor seating area with, some heating elements, and it's just really been done up nice. And it's the sort of thing, as the weather's going to be pretty nice, and you may sit out there and you're like, man, this is just really nice. I wish there was more outdoor seating in the area. I wish there were more places to do this. You can have that sort of lifestyle in your own backyard. Hunter Hardscapes and Outdoor, that is the sort of thing they do, and they are the premier providers of the designing, the ideas, the work itself, the craftsmanship, the premier products in the 417 area throughout the Ozarks. And so if you want it done by the absolute best, that's whom you go through. Now, it could be something very simple like Hunter Hardscapes and Outdoor, designed and built for my family, and that's a really nice seating area with plenty of seating, an area that accommodates my Traeger smoker, and then a smokeless fire pit. Or it can be something much more elaborate with water features and built-in sound and lighting. It's all based off of what it is that you want to turn your outdoor living space into, which for most people, your outdoor living space isn't really a living space at all. It's just the outdoors, and it's wasted space. And Hunter Hardscapes and Outdoor can change that. So something to keep in mind. I'd plan for next spring. You're maybe going to build or improve the quality and value of your home with any sort of tax return you may get. Go ahead, make that call, reach out today, and get started with Hunter Hardscapes and Outdoor. You can find them under Nick's endorsements at ksgf.com. And then, like I said, circling back there to our happy hour. If you're going on the Great Escape, it'll be a fun little last-minute get-together before we all meet in St. Louis on Saturday evening. But, of course, we want everyone to join us at our new happy hour location Friday 4 to 6, the Vineyard Market. More details at ksgf.com. And Glenn Beck is coming.